Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the Political Brown Kid here. And there's been a conversation between Lord Jamar and KRS-One in regards to who started hip hop. Of course, KRS-One is saying hip hop was started by blacks, Latinos, specifically Puerto Ricans, and also Jamaicans. And Lord Jamar has come back to dispute that, and said, no, hip hop was started by blacks. And, other people participated. Later on, they were observers and participated, but the founders was Black American culture. And I'm going to be honest with you. I totally agree with Lord Jamar. Not because I'm very pro-black, which I am, but it's absolutely true. Just like Lord Jamar has broken down his explanation, and I'm not going to go into detail about it, but go check out Lord Jamar's explanation about it. And you can even listen to KRS-One's explanation. But the one thing is this. This is what I'm going to say, because I'm about to play a few videos right here to show why all of these other races, and to be honest with you, being Latino is not a race. There's no such thing as a race of Latinos. You're either a black Latino, you're either a white Latino. Latinos, you can specifically say Mexicans, they did originate from the indigenous Americans like the Mayans back in the day. But they've been so diluted, they don't really know what the heck they are. They are just a hodgepodge. But there's no such thing as a race of Mexican Latinos. But this is the point of this video right here. Everyone wants to come in and invade black spaces. When black people do things, black people put in the blood, sweat, and tears to pave the way for other groups just to come in, take stuff over, but then they don't fight for us. So I'm making that statement up front because I'm about to play these videos to show you just how these people, particularly these Mexicans, and trust me, when I say Mexicans, Mexicans do not like us. Go to any penal system, specifically on the West Coast, and see who the Mexicans hang out with. They hang out with the Aryan Brotherhood. They are aligned with the Aryan Brotherhood. They do not like black people. So I don't know why black people want to continue to defend a bunch of Mexicans. And you're going to see in this video right here from two Mexican women that are senators who hate black people and don't want black people to get reparations, but yet she's here as an immigrant and she's receiving all of the benefits of American society that black people have fought for. So I'm going to play these videos and then I'm going to come back and break them down for you.
Yeah, so basically I feel like the Mexican people were underrepresented there last night.
I feel it. I can see that.
I can see that too, man, but...
And a lot of people are telling me that I sound like bitter or something. Like, I'm not a rapper, fool. I'm not tripping about not being on stage. I'm saying, like...
Do you think it had something to do with it being Juneteenth?
I don't understand. I thought Juneteenth was like on the 16th or something like that. It's on June 19th.
It was Juneteenth. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it was Juneteenth. Thanks.
I respect it.
Do you think that had something to do with it?
Had something to do with what? The fact that they threw the show that day? Or that there was no Mexicans on stage?
There you go.
It was Juneteenth. And I believe that's in remembrance of the massacre. I don't want to be wrong, but is it in Tulsa or in Selma?
I don't even know.
Or a place over there? I could be wrong, and I hate to be wrong, but I know it's in remembrance of a massacre that took place, right? I'd like to say that the Mexican people have been persecuted in this wonderful land for a long, long, long time.
Or being told that Mexicans are a guest in hip-hop. Given my whole life to rap music, and I'll be damned if someone comes out here and tells me I'm a guest because of my skin tone.
Force reported the total amount could be as much as 800 billion. 800 billion. That's 2.5 times the size of our entire state budget. To pay for that, you'd need a major tax hike, unlike anything this state has ever seen before. I recognize and acknowledge the painful part of our history. The pains of our past should not be paid by the people of today. The majority of our state is Latino and Asian, making up 55% of our population. Most of them, like me, are first, second, or third generation immigrants who had nothing to do with slavery, discrimination, Jim Crow laws. Nothing. It is fundamentally unfair to force these people to pay for this, and because of that,
reparations from slavery and black victimization is about to be shoved down our throats for the most wretched holiday in America. BLM raised millions. But what did they do for Black lives? It is outrageous to see people asking for reparations, even though they never went through slavery. These ungrateful people should be celebrated because they were born in the greatest nation to ever exist. Here's a tip. If you don't like America, kindly out.
So these videos, this is what I want to illustrate to you. These may be various different topics, differing in discussion, but they all have the same premise. Here in this video on hip hop, once again, Black people founded hip hop. Let's make that absolutely clear. Number one, there's no such thing as a race of Jamaicans. There's no such thing as a race of Haitians. There's no such thing as a race of Dominicans. You may want to think that you're a race, but you are not. You are all Africans and or Nubians and of African and or Nubian descent. Let's make that perfectly clear. The other things that you want, if you want to identify as a Haitian, that is a subculture. That's all that is. It is a nationality. It is not a race. But here's the point that I'm trying to make. Black people created hip hop, and then you have a whole bunch of Mexicans. You have these Mexican men sitting up here talking about they weren't represented at Kendrick Lamar's concert, and they should have been represented. Yet they have no idea what Juneteenth was about. They said it was about Tulsa, Oklahoma, or some massacres. They don't even know. They're totally off base on what Juneteenth was about. And that's a federal holiday that's been talked about. They don't even care to look it up just to even educate themselves on why are we getting another national holiday. I do that with any holiday that's just been given. Just kind of, oh, what is this about? Oh, okay, that's what it's about. Okay, keep it moving. But you can look to see how they responded to tell you. The one guy was just like, I don't know what it's about. I don't know. And that goes to tell you that he just doesn't give a damn. But yet he wants to be represented because he wants to receive the financial compensation of the work and labor that Black people put into hip hop. We put in blood, sweat, and tears to create a culture in an art form, and they want to come into our space and receive compensation for it. And yet but yet when it comes to learning about our culture and history, they don't care. I'm going to say that because this is synonymous to when you look at all of the rights that Mexicans or Latinos, I'm just going to say Latinos because that includes Mexicans, it includes everyone from the Latin American Caribbean, right? When you look at the Latin American, or should I say Latin America, when you look at those cultures, when we were fighting for civil rights, they did not want to be associated with us. Go back and ask your grandparents. I know a lot of you people are young and probably don't even care to understand what your history is. But even before Martin Luther King, but even during Martin Luther King's time, when Indian Americans came to this country, and I'm talking about dots, not feathers, when you had Asian Americans come to this country, and when you had Hispanics come to this country, or Latinos come to this country, none of them sided with Blacks and none of them marched. Well, I shouldn't say none because that's an absolute, but there were probably very few. You didn't see big Latino representation saying Latinos for Blacks, Latinos, we support Black people getting it right. The only people really that kind of fought with Blacks were Jews. And that's a fact. That is a fact. The only people that fought and helped fight for Black rights were Jewish people. And that is a fact. But the other culture stayed away from us. And I understand why. So let me just this is just my opinion on why they stayed away. I get it. You're an immigrant too. You're a quote unquote minority or a quote unquote pariah. Americans, Caucasians really don't want you here either. So I can understand those Asians and those Latinos kind of coming here and kind of just wanting to be quiet and just assimilate and just kind of blend in. That's really what they were trying to do. They were trying to keep their head low, trying to stay out of trouble. And then Black people fought the fight to get rights for people to vote. They got the rights for women to vote. They got the rights for other minorities to vote, or other people of color, should I say. When Black people got the rights, they gave the rights to all other ethnicities to vote and be viewed as citizens. Black people fought for those citizenships. And then what happens? Everybody else get the benefits of it. Affirmative action. That was supposed to be directly for black people, to help black people help get mobility into American society. And what do? They give it to white women, they give it to Asians, and they give it to Latinos. And then what do you have here? You got two Latino senators talking about, damn these black people, and if they don't want to get along in this country, then they need to get the you know what out of here. My ancestors did not do anything to them. Let me explain something to you all black people, and even anybody listening to this, even you Mexicans who are listening, clean the wax out of your ears and understand something. When you come to a place, I don't care if you're a first generation immigrant, I don't care if you're a second generation immigrant. When you come to some place, you assume the debts of that country. You didn't hear those two senators, you didn't hear them complaining about the $21 trillion debt that ran up after Clinton, because when Bill Clinton came into office, I do believe, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, when Clinton took office, we did have a debt, but when the Republican House came when Clinton was in office, and then the House flipped from him not having both the House and the Senate, and then the Republicans took control of either the House or the Senate, I forget which one, the debt, by them working together, having a Democratic president in Bill Clinton and having a Republican-controlled House and or Senate, the debt got balanced. But then after that, of course, the Bushes and, even with Obama, Trump, Biden, and all of the presidents that preceded Bill Clinton ran up the deficit to what the $21 trillion that we have now. Now, I could be off. Now, even if Bill Clinton did run up the debt, the bottom line is this. If you're a first generation American or second generation American, why aren't you complaining that you're not responsible for the debt that America incurred 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago? So therefore, why aren't you in an uproar about paying the debt? If you are a first or second generation American, why aren't you complaining about things that America has done and has paid for that you weren't responsible for? But yet they don't want to compensate Black Americans because they felt as though just because they're immigrants here, and mind you, they're only a minority here, America is still heavily populated by white population, that they shouldn't have to contribute. But yet they're not complaining. These senators are not complaining about the $1.7 trillion jet or the defense bill that passed and we had failed military aircraft. They're not complaining about any of the other debts that occur, but yet they're complaining about giving black people what black people are owed. And I can also make this point too. If you inherit a house, if once again, I'm going to use this as an example. If one of your parents pass away, or even your grandparent passes away, and your grandparent leaves you a house, and that house comes with certain particular debts and or liens that come with that property, you have to pay those debts and or liens off before you can even collect your inheritance. There are certain things that come with that property. And I don't see anybody complaining when they inherit a $100 million or a $10 million estate saying, why do I have to pay off the $2 million debt that comes along with it? You take the estate because you're like, in the long run, the estate is worth it. I'd rather pay off the $2 million debt that's associated with the estate because then I get a $10 million property. It's the same as when you come to America, you assume the debt that America has. And the one debt that America still refuses to pay is reparations to blacks. They've paid reparations to the Japanese for the internment camps they put them in during World War II. They paid the indigenous Americans in the form that indigenous Americans do not have to pay taxes ever. And I know certain black people. I know a particular black person who has a Native American card. They actually do. They have a Native American card because once you're, I forget what percentage it is, so I'm not even going to throw out a percentage, but once you're classified or can prove a certain percentage of indigenous American descent, you are exempt from certain liabilities. I don't make this stuff up. And so you don't hear these people complaining about this. They come to this country. When you come here, you incur the debt that was paid. And what all black people are trying to do is get our 40 acres and a mule. It's not our fault that we let the interest accrue on the debt. So if you didn't want to give us 40 acres and a mule back when they should have paid our ancestors, then that's their problem. Then we're going to collect now with interest. I guarantee you, if somebody owed you money, if somebody owed your great-great-granddaddy money, and they didn't pay the debt on that property, you're going to want, and they owed your great-great-granddaddy $10,000, and they owed that money back in 1940, you're going to want to say, well, hey, look, this $10,000, this got some interest and some penalties with it or something. That $10,000 is worth $200,000 in present day time. America definitely is going to do that. Let you not pay your IRS tax bill. They're going to hit you with interest and penalties because the value of a dollar in 19 whatever is not the same as what it's worth in 2000 and whatever. So all I'm saying is this. You have these videos that I just played for you, where you have a bunch of people, they want to conveniently, it's similar to what Chris Rock says when you have selective outrage. They have selective outrage when they're not included and they can't benefit off the labor in the blood, sweat, and tears of black people, but yet they want to collect on the wealth. Then they don't want to put in the fight with us. The one thing I can say is this. I'm going to say this. You don't hear Asian, and that's the one thing I can do is respectfully with Asians, but I'm probably going to be proven wrong because Asians probably going to start tripping right after I make this video. But you don't hear Asians fighting at all. They stay out of it. They just keep to themselves. They keep their mind. But you don't have these Asian senators or Asian people getting in office and acting a fool and wanting to be hyper conservative and being hyper racist. Not to say that they aren't racist, but what I'm trying to say is I at least haven't seen them on television yet. But you got a bunch of Mexicans wanting to get on TV and start acting like white people, which they are, because these are two white Mexicans. That's all they are. There's no such thing as a race of Latinos. You got two white Mexican women here arguing and fussing about not wanting to pay blacks reparations. You even got a Mexican female rapper talking about she's not going to want to be treated as a guest. She deserves to be, what she wants the red carpet rolled out for her. You want to be treated like everyone else? It's amazing how they invade our spaces and demand to be treated like they deserve to be here, but yet they don't put in the blood, sweat, or tears in order to make things happen. I'm going to tell y'all something too about Latinos. This is one thing that I noticed about Latinos, not just Mexicans, just about Latinos, period. They switch. And I guess y'all would call it code switching. I hate that, I'm not a person that uses terms, but they do. They code switch. I know a particular female. I know this one particular female. I knew her back in the day. She dressed, when we were in school, she dressed black. And when I say that, I mean, she had on her black, you dress how black people dress. And y'all know how black people dress. We have a particular style that we wear. She dressed black. When she fitted herself up, she looked black. I ran into her about 10 years after we finished high school. I ran into her about 8 years. No, I shouldn't say 10, about 8 or 7 years after that. She was totally in golf gear. I do not make this up. She had on the big baggy jeans. She had on the boots, the golf boots. She had one of them chains that that people wear that connect to their jeans and connect to that big loop chain that they wear. She had the dark eye mascara on. Just looked totally golf. And I was just kind of like, what in the world is going on? I spoke to her and I talked like nothing. I didn't address it. But when I walked away, I was like, what in the world is going on in her life? And the other example that I'm going to give is this. You look at Cypress Hill. Cypress Hill invaded the rap space. They made their money in hip hop, came out, had the hip hop beats, had nice albums. And then all of a sudden, then they became a rock band. I don't make this up. Go look it up. I don't know if they had a successful rock career because I'm not into rock music, but that's what they do. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Ice-T did the same. Yes, he did. But Ice-T still presents himself as a black person. He can't get away from his blackness. Even though he tries, he dates so many white women. You can't make up Ice-T stuff, and Ice-T is not a good example of being a strong black person. Just because you know gang culture and just because you can talk the lingo. But what I'm saying is Latinos switch up. Whichever's the dominant culture, wherever they think they can make their money, they're going to switch up and they're going to adapt. So I don't give them any respect at all. And so this is what I'm trying to say. Stop letting people come into our spaces when we put in the blood, sweat, and tears to get them to where they are. So this is just my opinion on this. So drop your opinions in the comment section. Also hit the like and subscribe button. And two, definitely, like I said, go check out Lord Jamal's comments on Who Started Hip Hop. And you can also go check out KRS-One's comments. I think even Fat Joe and Grandmaster Cass chimed in on this as well. But I agree with Lord Jamal. So once again, this is the Political Brown Kid. I'm out of here.